Toxic industrial chemicals versus warfare agents. Title: Toxic industrial chemicals versus warfare agents, understanding the differences and implications. Introduction. Toxic industrial chemicals and warfare agents are two categories of chemical substances that have distinct characteristics and purposes. This article aims to delve into their differences and shed light on the potential implications associated with each. Toxic industrial chemicals. Toxic industrial chemicals, TICs, are diverse substances that are commonly used in industrial processes, such as manufacturing, agriculture, and research. One characteristic of TICs is their prevalence in everyday applications. Examples include various solvents, pesticides, cleaning agents, and chemical intermediates. TICs are generally not created with the intention of causing extensive harm, but their toxicity potential necessitates proper handling and regulation. The regulation of TICs falls under the jurisdiction of governmental agencies, which establish guidelines and standards to ensure their safe use and transportation. Occupational health and safety regulations, as well as environmental protection measures, aim to minimize the risks associated with TIC exposure. Warfare agents. In contrast to TICs, warfare agents are specifically designed or modified to fulfill military objectives. They are chemical substances that are employed in armed conflict situations, with the primary objective of incapacitating or inflicting harm on enemy combatants, populations, or infrastructure. Warfare agents are categorized based on their intended effects, mode of deployment, and the severity of their consequences. Examples of warfare agents include nerve agents, blister agents, choking agents, blood agents, and riot control agents. These substances are often lethal and are intended to maximize their impact on targeted populations or areas. The production, stockpiling, and use of warfare agents are regulated under international conventions, notably the Chemical Weapons Convention, CWC. This treaty prohibits the development, production, stockpiling, and use of chemical weapons, with the aim of preventing their proliferation and preventing the devastation they can cause. Implications and risks. While TICs and warfare agents have distinct purposes and contexts of use, there are potential implications and risks associated with both categories of chemicals. In the case of TICs, improper handling, accidents, or incidents involving their release can lead to significant harm to human health, the environment, and even neighboring communities. Examples of major TIC incidents include the Bhopal gas tragedy in India and the explosion in Tianjin, China. These incidents demonstrate how TICs can cause widespread damage if not managed and regulated effectively. On the other hand, warfare agents present an imminent threat during armed conflicts or acts of terrorism. The use of chemical weapons, such as the well-known case in Syria, has resulted in immense human suffering and casualties. The potential for warfare agents to be used by non-state actors is a growing concern, as their access to such substances may have severe humanitarian consequences. The development and use of warfare agents are condemned internationally due to the potential for mass destruction and violation of humanitarian principles. The taboo associated with the use of chemical weapons stems from their indiscriminate nature, causing not only harm to combatants but also innocent civilians. Certainly. Continuing from where we left off. One important aspect to consider is the dual-use nature of some toxic industrial chemicals. These chemicals can have both legitimate civilian uses and potential applications in the production of warfare agents. This creates challenges in monitoring and controlling their distribution and use. Striking the balance between facilitating industrial development and preventing the misuse of these chemicals is a complex task for governments and regulatory bodies. It is also worth noting that the risks associated with toxic industrial chemicals and warfare agents extend beyond immediate human and environmental harm. The potential long-term health effects, ecological impacts, and economic consequences of exposure to these chemicals can be significant. For instance, the effects of toxic industrial chemicals on human health may not become apparent until years after exposure, making their monitoring and regulation all the more crucial. Efforts to minimize the risks associated with both toxic industrial chemicals and warfare agents require a multifaceted approach. Crucially, it also involves robust enforcement and adherence to international treaties and agreements aimed at preventing the production, stockpiling, and use of chemical weapons. Certainly. Continuing from where we left off. Toxic industrial chemicals and warfare agents pose significant challenges to the international community. The dual-use nature of some chemicals and the potential for their misuse highlights the need for effective regulation and monitoring. Governments and regulatory bodies must strike a delicate balance between encouraging industrial development and preventing the proliferation of these substances. Efforts to address the risks associated with toxic industrial chemicals and warfare agents should focus on multiple areas. Firstly, it is crucial to prioritize safety protocols and ensure that industries handle these substances responsibly. Regular inspections, audits, and strict adherence to safety guidelines can help minimize the potential for accidents and exposure. Additionally, emergency response capabilities need to be strengthened. This requires well-trained emergency personnel, adequate resources, and coordinated response plans at the national and international levels. International cooperation and intelligence sharing play a vital role in preventing the misuse and illicit trafficking of these substances. Furthermore, public awareness plays a key role in preventing accidental exposures and deterring individuals from engaging in illicit activities involving these substances. Lastly, robust enforcement of international treaties and agreements is crucial in preventing the production, stockpiling, and use of chemical weapons. Certainly. Continuing from where we left off. Furthermore, research and development efforts should continue to advance technologies and methods for detecting and neutralizing toxic industrial chemicals and warfare agents. This includes exploring innovative approaches such as the use of sensing technologies, improved protective equipment, and decontamination methods. Another important aspect is the establishment of effective mechanisms for accountability and addressing allegations of chemical weapons use. Lastly, the inclusion of civil society organizations and non-governmental organizations, NGOs, in discussions and decision-making processes is vital. These organizations can provide valuable expertise, advocacy, and grassroots engagement to support efforts in addressing the challenges posed by toxic industrial chemicals and warfare agents. By adopting a comprehensive and multifaceted approach, the international community can work towards minimizing the risks posed by toxic industrial chemicals and warfare agents.